That is tape from earlier today, Bloomington, Minnesota. Voters going to the polls on this Super Tuesday. Donald Trump once faced several Republican opponents in the Republican primary. That number now is, of course, down to one, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. And several of those Republicans who ran against the former president, well, have since become endorsers, and some have become vocal and reliable supporters. One of them is Vivek Ramaswamy, who joins us now. Vivek, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to see you.
I know you know what it's like to run a campaign and make a decision to suspend it. If you were to give advice to Nikki Haley after tonight, what would it be?
Suspend the campaign. It's exactly what she should have done after New Hampshire. The fact of the matter is, what's interesting about tonight is Super Tuesday is not going to be the night that the Republican nominee is decided. That was decided long ago. I do think what's increasingly interesting after this Super Tuesday is the question of who the Democratic nominee is going to be. It is increasingly clear that the Democratic establishment has lost its patience and its use for Joe Biden. The polling numbers that came out recently, even the New York Times Siena polls, paint a very bleak picture for Biden's path, which is exactly why I think there's an increasing probability that it will not be Joe Biden. And so the path forward from here, the real story isn't about the Republican nominee. That story's done. It's been Donald Trump for a while, and it will remain Donald Trump after tonight. That part's the well-known part. So I think the subtext of what happens after tonight is what happens on the Democratic side.
Vivek, what I hear you saying is that at the Democratic National Convention, because that's the only place where this mechanism could play out, because the filing deadline for nearly all the primaries is closed. No one can get on the ballot and assemble the delegates. So this has to be sorted out at the Democratic National Convention. You're predicting, if I hear you correctly, a free-for-all there.
It doesn't necessarily have to be at the convention if Biden already foreordains, along with key party elders, who that nominee is going to be. But the key question is going to be the decision made by Biden, more likely his family and the people around him who are guiding him, to be able to say it's time for him to step aside, and somebody likely from the next generation, which is exactly what they're setting up for, to fill that void. I do think that this is a big danger for the Republicans, at least to be worried about, or at least thinking ahead to say that if we focus all of our political capital and our energy on Joe Biden, and we're playing against a bait and switch in the early summer, we're actually setting up for a surprise, which is why I think the Republican Party needs to focus on, and I think Donald Trump has done a good job of articulating our own alternative vision. Irrespective of Joe Biden, irrespective of his frailties, what do we actually stand for? Stand for borders, stand for meritocracy, stand for economic growth. That's part of what it means to actually be an American, and that's what Republicans need to stand for.
Vivek, when you say Republicans should be concerned, is there a Democrat not named Joe Biden you would be most concerned about in this scenario?
I think it comes down to which individual they put up. I think the real concern for Republicans is we can't expend all of our energy on just criticizing Joe Biden when Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee. And so I think that we don't have to be concerned if we focus on our own message. That's what I think President Trump has done a good job of doing. It's what I'm focused on, and I think other leaders across this party need to be focused on as well.
If Nikki Haley, Vivek, does not suspend her campaign and carries on for the next couple of weeks, what effect will that have on Republican unity?
I don't think it has a great effect on the Republican primary or Republican unity. I think it does have a big effect on exposing the rot that is the establishment in the Republican Party. The effect of donors who are propping her up long after the voters have said no, time and time again, making clear who they want their nominee to be. I got about 8% in Iowa. I wanted to be very clear. When I saw no path to getting nominated, I got out of the race so that we could have a decisive nominee. The fact that Nikki Haley is staying in long after the people of this country and the Republican primary base has said absolutely no to her reflects actually a deeper, I think, more sinister agenda here. That's to stop Trump at all costs. Whether it's a puppet through the Democratic Party, through the Republican Party, or any other path, I think that's what Nikki Haley represents. Regardless, thankfully, after New Hampshire, certainly after Nevada and Michigan and South Carolina, now heading into Super Tuesday, she's long been irrelevant. And I think the real question turns to who that Democratic nominee is going to be.
Vivek, you came in tied for first at the CPAC straw poll for running mates for former President Trump. Would you jump on the ticket if asked?
Look, I think that I'm going to do whatever's required for the country. There's a lot of great candidates. I'm going to respect whatever decision President Trump makes. But my question is, how am I going to do my part to have a maximal positive impact on this country? First step in getting him reelected this November, and after that, 4 years of governing, where I know that his goal, and I think it's going to be everyone's goal involved, to make that second term so successful that it makes even that successful first term even look small by comparison. That, I think, is what's ahead for that second term of Trump. I'm looking forward to everything that we're going to accomplish. But for now, I think the focus is going to be on winning in November. And I want to say this, Major, is I do think that it can't just be a razor-thin margin this November. I think this is an opportunity for a decisive moral mandate, a Reagan 1980-style victory that, dare I say it, could unite this country. President Trump said it well recently. Success will be our vengeance. Success is unifying. Excellence is unifying. That's what makes America great. And I think that's a message that speaks to people, whether they're black or white, or even red or blue. That, I think, is a message that not only can deliver President Trump back to the White House with a decisive mandate, but unite and rebuild this country. And I know that's what he's focused on. And I'm going to do whatever is required heading into November and afterwards to help make this country a success.
Vivek, before I let you go, either conceptually or constitutionally, do you believe in absolute presidential immunity?
So look, this framing of absolute presidential immunity, with due respect, is the wrong framing. The question is, for actions that fall within the president's decision-making power as U.S. president, should the president be immune for decisions made as U.S. president? Absolutely. That's something the Supreme Court has held in the past. It has been a long-standing view, even dating back to the Nixon era, and for good reason, because if a president is going to be second-guessed, you have presidents who have made decisions for where there have been collateral damage in places like Afghanistan to Iraq, civilian deaths, in other places around the world too. If a president could be sued after the fact for uncapped damages, that would constrain the decision that every president could make. So this issue is not about Donald Trump. It's about whether we want to have a U.S. president and a commander-in-chief who has the latitude to make the hard decisions without thinking about tort liability or lawsuits or, even worse, criminal prosecution after leaving office. That's something our founding fathers never envisioned, and I don't think it's something that we should envision today either. So I do hope the Supreme Court comes down on the right side of this issue to say that for presidential actions executed while U.S. president, there should be no legal liability after office attached to it, let alone criminal liability.
Vivek Ramaswamy, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.